Hello from the Drop Step. This is Ivory Wright, and we're doing our first podcast. And today we have a special guest from HoopJunkies, and we want you to get up close and personal with Charles Taylor today. Charles, how are you today?
I'm great, Ivory. How are you?
So every great, passionate person in the game who's coaching or doing anything for the game, it comes from some kind of passion. So let's start from the humble beginnings. What was it like playing ball growing up?
Well, playing basketball, I started out in the Willow Run area of Ypsilanti. And in our district, we had great coaching at the high school level that came in, and they saw it was something going on in the elementary area. So they initiated a elementary program. And we played against other elementaries all through Willow Run district. And then that ignited us playing in the neighborhoods. We finally got a neighborhood basketball court at the park. And so we went from there. We started playing all the time, every day, all day, twice on Sundays.
So, they really talk about the kids today. They don't go to the parks. They only play in the gyms. Do you feel like there's a part of the game that these young kids are missing now because they don't have what you had growing up?
Yes, it is. It's the just games. That's why the AAU is so popular and so prevalent in good basketball players' lives right now, because they just get to play games against competition. And it's almost like the parks, to be honest.
So how has the game changed from the time that you were playing ball, getting beat by the older kids, coming back, working, trying to build your local rep at your neighborhood park, until now, as far as just what's different?
Well, it's changed because you got a concentration on skill sets and stuff now. A lot of kids and their parents are concentrating on making their kid better, which sometimes that's not a good change. That's a bad change because the kid don't have the passion that we had, because we just went out there by ourselves and just played and developed our skill sets.
So the difference, what I'm hearing is the difference is the kids before and back when you were younger, they were self-driven. And these kids are more so not as motivated, and their skill sets are learned, and they're missing the passion or the fire, or as old school ballers say, they don't have that dog in them.
That's true. They don't have it at all.
All right, so let's move forward in the history of Chuck. And what high school did you play ball at?
I played ball at Pioneer High School in Ann Arbor.
I hear that's a good school. So when, growing up in the Run, knowing everybody in the Run, and now you're at Pioneer, what was the competition like in Ann Arbor versus Ypsi during that time period?
Well, believe it or not, it was the same type of competition. I went to the neighborhoods in Ann Arbor, and they played ball just as good and hard and exciting as everybody else did all around. You had good teachers out in Willow Run, guys that kind of swooped me up and, took me to games and took me to different things so that I could see the game of basketball. But all in all, it was around the same stuff, it's around the same.
So you balled with a group of talented individuals from the Ann Arbor, Ypsi. Just during your time period, it seems like there's a ton of players that you balled with that found success. Can you elaborate on the competition, the type of players, and that you had to face when you were on the court?
Yes, the competition level was very, very high from Willow Run High School They were dominant in Class B. We had high schools that was dominant in Class A that we played against. Like Huron was dominant, Jackson, Romulus, Flint Beecher, Flint Northwestern, Lansing Sexton. And there was a lot of just local teams also that were, they just was good. Each team had a good player on it or a couple good players.
So, like, who were some of these great players that you played against, and what was their success?
Well, I played against the Bonds twins, who was at Willow Run High School. They one of them went on to have great success at Oakland University. Then I played against Romulus, who was Grant Long and Terry Mills, and Duck was their point guard. They had a really good team. They were ranked in Class A. Grant Long went on to go to pro for a long time, along with Terry Mills. Jackson, Gary Tompkins, he made pros. He went to University of Iowa from Jackson, and they were a ranked Class A team. Lansing Sexton was the number one team in the state that year. They had beat a really good Flint Northwestern team. They had several good players, and then we played a guy at Flint Southwestern, who actually probably was the best player in Flint area or almost in Michigan. His nickname was Moon. He played at Flint Southwestern. He had about 45 points on it. He was a big guy. He played very good against Northwestern also. So, and then there's several players that that was local from Huron. Huron had a good team, and then you had Adrian. Adrian High School had a really good, solid team. Highland Park, and it was several good players, man.
So definitely, it was like a golden era of basketball for that time.
Yes.
So moving forward, you had success. So what college did you attend, and how was it playing on the college level versus high school?
Well, I went to Siena Heights. First, I went to Mott Community College, and then I transferred to Siena Heights. I had offers from several different schools, and I just wasn't academically available or good enough at the time. I really didn't know too much about, keeping my standards in academics and playing basketball at the same time. So it's that same old story. But I had offers from University of New Mexico, Drake University, and different colleges like that. I just
couldn't take advantage of those.
Couldn't take advantage of the opportunities.
Absolutely. So now that we understand a little bit about Chuck, but now we know that you are a coach, an established coach. Let's just find out where that passion began. So when did you first realize you wanted to even be a coach? Because you were such a player.
Well, a couple years after I got out of school, I wanted to coach, and I actually took up a AAU team in the Ypsilanti area. Then it wasn't too much of an AAU. It was more of an amateur basketball team. And I went down to Prep Stars in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, and just to establish some experience in coaching at a basketball camp. And it was a regional powerhouse basketball camp in those days, so in the southern region. So I went to that camp, and the owner gave me a great chance and a great opportunity to actually coach, not assistant coach or anything. He gave me one of the teams at the camp. So it was a great opportunity. And from there, I didn't really seize the opportunity of coaching because then again, I didn't know what the opportunity could bring, far as a career and financial stability and all that stuff. So I went into business and I kind of put that on the back burner.
So you always had, that exposure gave you the passion, but you definitely come from a family of entrepreneurs and successful business people, and we know that you've done a lot outside of basketball for the community, and your father kind of broke the ice in that direction and passed the torch to you, and he was well loved and he was a big giver to everyone in the community. So we know that Taylor comes with a brand. So that's awesome. So, now that we understand how you fell in love with coaching and you've always been a successful businessman, but you've always made time to coach at the same time. So a lot of people feel, because I played ball, or this coach isn't this, because when I balled with him, I was better than him. And we hear all these perspectives, and I feel like they're myths in some regards. So I'm going to ask you the question, do you believe that every good player makes a good coach?
No, I don't. I don't believe that. I believe you have to have that passion and, just that talent that God has gave you in order to be a good coach. I really do believe that. You could play the game and know the game from that standpoint, but that doesn't translate to actual coaching.
I agree. And, you've had some success on a very high level. Can you tell us about your NBA coaching opportunity?
Yes. Well, a friend of mine, he needed a partner to go to the D-League, Summer League, and tryouts to go and coach. And he offered me that opportunity. So I went with him. And everything I do, I already had the passion for coaching, and I had already been high school coaching from that point. Everything I do, I tend to gravitate towards it and strongly almost take over type of deal. So we did that, and we did it in style. We actually went undefeated and won the championship, and then we lost we coached the all-star team also and lost in that. But it was a great avenue that led to me going to want to be a scout, NBA scout. So I went to a training in Las Vegas to be an NBA scout, and I'm looking forward to going this summer also.
So that means you definitely have some irons in the fire on a high level. You definitely know a lot of people. Who was your roommate in college?
Well, one of my roommates was Vince Baldwin of Prep Spotlight. He owned Prep Spotlight. He was a Nike rep, also grassroots rep. Then another guy that I went to college with, and we weren't roommates, but we were on the same team, was Al Harris. He's a head coach at Mid-Atlantic University in North Carolina. And then another one that was really good friends of mine, his name's Carlton Johnson. He went on to coach Detroit Southeastern for a while, and he had a lot of success, but he had to quit and manage his son. His son was the main character in The Lion King.
Wow.
Yes, and so he's in a group right now. I forgot what the group is. He's in a nationally known singing group.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I definitely can see how that can derail basketball dreams deferred after that kind of opportunity. So let's talk about your coaching philosophy a little bit. Are you the type of coach that you have a go-to system and you use the system everywhere you go? Or are you a wait-and-see coach where I have multiple systems, let me see what I'm working with first, and explain that to us.
Yeah, I've developed several different systems out of experience, and I kind of wait and see what type of players that I have and that I'm coaching. And then I of course, I like to stick with a defensive philosophy, and I like to go with several of the same plays that I always run and keep in my cabinet, my coaching cabinet. But I like to see what my players have to offer, and then put them in the best situation and position in order to be successful.
That sounds good. And I know that you're definitely big on defense creates the offense perspective. So I know when you're looking to include people on teams, it seems like you definitely want defensive, hungry-minded individuals. If you can't play defense, then you most likely get cut on a Chuck Taylor team. It looks like times have changed, rules have changed, the intensity of the game has redefined itself. So in what ways has the high school game changed from the time that you played in this golden era until this point?
Well, it's changed from, when I played, the three-pointer wasn't even in
it wasn't a thing
in high school. No, so
it was a bad shot.
Right after I left is when they started initiating a lot of the 3-pointers and stuff, and it's just not they don't work as hard at it all year round. They may work in the gyms and going to training, physical training and stuff of that nature. So that's more than we did. But far as working on your game and playing against different competitions in the neighborhoods and, on the playgrounds. Now, a playground player doesn't really translate into being a good player in the gym, but it does add substance.
That element. There is a piece of hunger that a playground player has.
Yes.
Versus a person who's just following instructions, playing like a robot.
Right.
Sometimes when the game gets flat, every coach wish he had a playmaker.
Yes.
Everybody's following the plays. We're kind of neutralized. We're kind of neutralized in coaching philosophies. We need someone to do something unplanned.
Yes.
That's the playground guy.
And that's what I love. I love that type of takeover player. He can, just like card player, he know when to hold and know when to fold. He knows the right time to work his magic. That's right. What that comes from the coaching. The coaching can show that type of guy when to do that and when not to do that.
That sounds good. So you are working on something that's really taken off. It's growing 100-fold. It's moving fast. And it's called HoopJunkies. So maybe you can explain why there's a need for it and how did it begin?
Well, I used to talk to all of my friends and, basketball guys, constantly, because that's the kind of people that I be around. And, they always mention that, hey, it's, who's playing who this week and who's playing this week and who's the top players in the area. And I start thinking, I said, hey, the local newspapers and the local news avenues aren't putting that stuff out as heavy as they used to.
Yeah, it seems like there's a real lack of coverage.
Yes, lack of
for
coverage.
AAU high school. It's like a space it's just wide open, and if you're not getting a haircut, you don't know what's going on.
That's right. And so the need presented itself, and so I always look at the need and then I try to accommodate the need. And I just said, hey, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to research it a little bit and go ahead and put a lot into it. It's just like that Nike thing, just do it. And I always do that.
All right, so it looks like HoopJunkies is growing, and congratulations on all of its success so far. What can we expect from HoopJunkies in the future?
Well, thank you. And you can expect, a couple different things to be added to it. So we're trying to put together a award show that's going to be a grand award show for, of course, you can't give players awards, but you can acknowledge players and give coaches awards and, just acknowledge high school basketball in our area, which we only surface and only provide for our area, Washtenaw County and Western Wayne. Soon to be, I'm looking into Oakland County, parts of Oakland County also, so I'm looking to grow it. But we're going to do that award show, and we're going to add different elements, some more advertising and more interviews of players and stuff, just not your basic standard interviews, but more just, kicking it.
Yeah, just a relaxed.
Yes.
Let's get a feel for who this kid is.
Yeah.
And I think there's space for that right now because colleges, they're spending a lot of money on a scholarship, and they really probably want to know, who am I giving this money to? I see their Twitter account, I check their Instagram. Unfortunately, they probably looked at their Snapchat, but now they want to know, who is this kid? And so providing that, I see there's space for people to want to get a deeper relationship or understand a little bit more about the individual that they see running up and down the court.
Yes, and we're going to add an element of food, restaurants, along just so the
atmosphere can be relaxed.
Yeah, the atmosphere can be relaxed. The athlete and his parents can be relaxed and just basically kicking it. And then that'll add another element with the food and the restaurants as far as sponsorship and
correct.
Just involving other things. And we might involve a little bit of music, hip hop, and stuff that kids are vibing on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And so looks like HoopJunkies is going in a great direction. I like this. I love the fact that you're adding some some good, almost behind the scenes, get to know this guy type interviews that colleges will probably follow and take a little peek at. So you get to know these kids a little better and understand, who they are. But you also started an organization called, one of your organizations is called Michigan Rising. And it's the AAU basketball team. And, the AAU season is upon us. And I'd like to know, are you pleased with the talent pool this year? And who are some of your standouts in your organization?
Yeah, we're pleased with the talent pool. And we just had a tryout, and then a new tryout is actually this Sunday for the 15, 16, and 17U. We have a lot of guys that's coming back from last year's teams. We have anywhere around 6 or 7 teams. And then we have a kindergarten through 4th grade league that we're doing, our own Michigan Rising Basketball League. But we have a strong 15U, 16U team that's kind of strong to have guys from outstate area, Flint area, Lansing area, and some local guys from the Detroit area and Western Wayne. And then the other teams, we have incorporated some Washtenaw County kids, and we just got a really good mix of kids. We don't have the quote unquote the big name brand yet, but we have the grassroots kids that's really turning over, and once they get to the 17U, they're making a name for themselves. So I'm kind of pleased with it, and kind of pleased the growth it's having.
So and I was able to start this journey with you and be on this journey with you through this whole Michigan Rising creation, and it's great to see how we go from one team to 2 to 5 to 6 to, you know, almost having 2 or 3 teams at every level. That kind of growth in just a couple of years is just fantastic. It shows that this is something that is in demand, and people are happy here. People are staying, and you're showing growth. So congratulations on Michigan Rising success. So that is it today, folks. This is thedropstep.com with HoopJunkies CEO, and we're signing off. Till next time.
Thank you.